always thought heartbreak would come with sound. Scream. Slam door. Breaking glass. But when the truth came for me, it arrived in absolute silence. It was a Tuesday afternoon, the kind of warm spring day when the breeze smells like cut grass and someone's distant barbecue. I had just stepped out of my car, carrying a grocery bag in one hand and my purse slipping off my shoulder. And that's when I saw her. Her name was Melissa. At least that's the name my husband Tom had mentioned a few times. Always casually, always with the same dismissive smile. "She's just a friend, honey. Don't worry." But that afternoon she wasn't a name. She was a woman, standing on my front porch, holding a baby on her hip. And the baby, God help me, he had Tom's eyes. That soft hazel shade that shifted to green in sunlight. The same almond shape. Even the same gentle squint Tom had when he laughed. I froze on the driveway, my grocery bag slipping from my hand and rolling oranges across the concrete. Melissa didn't speak. The baby didn't cry. And all I could hear was my own heartbeat, pounding in my ears like a warning drum. Tom came out behind her. Not with guilt on his face. With fear. Not fear of being caught, no. Fear of what I might be about to discover. I didn't confront them. Not yet. Not then. Because some truths are too big to hear without first remembering who you used to be. Before your life began to split apart. So before I tell you what happened next, I need to go back. Before Melissa. Before the baby with my husband's eyes. Before the savings disappeared. Before the lies. Back to the life I thought I had. My name is Evelyn Carter, and until that afternoon, I believed I was living a simple, steady, ordinary life. Not perfect. Not without wrinkles and aches and arguments. But built on something I thought was real. Tom and I had been married for 28 years. Almost 3 decades of shared coffee cups, mortgage payments, late-night arguments about the thermostat, and goofy inside jokes only long-term couples understand. We lived in a quiet neighborhood outside Columbus, Ohio, the kind where people waved from their mailboxes and lawnmowers were louder than traffic. I worked part-time as a receptionist at a dental clinic. Tom worked as a contractor, a steady, reliable man who built things with his hands. Or at least, that's what I always believed him to be. Our daughter, Ashley, lived a few hours away in Cincinnati, married with kids of her own. She thought her father was the moon and the stars rolled into one. She loved that man with a blind loyalty I once envied and now resent. But if you'd asked me a year earlier to describe my marriage, I would have said, it's steadiness. It's history. It's partnership. Not passion. Not danger. Not betrayal. Just comfort. The kind of comfort you stop questioning because you think it's permanent. The first sign, the very first little crack, came one Sunday in late fall. I remember it clearly because Tom never missed our Sunday breakfast routine. Pancakes, bacon, and the newspaper spread out between us like a lazy ritual. But that morning he kept checking his phone, flinching at every buzz. Expecting someone. Tease. No, he said too quickly. Just work stuff. But contractors don't get work texts on Sunday at 7 a.m. And Tom was never jumpy. The second clue came when he suddenly became protective of his phone. He started taking it everywhere, even to the bathroom. That was new. In all our years, Tom barely cared where his phone was. The third clue was the money. Started with small excuses. I had to loan a buddy some cash. I needed to buy some materials up front. There was an unexpected repair on the truck. But one evening when I logged into our joint savings account, the one we'd built for retirement, for emergencies, for our future, my breath caught in my throat. $27,000 was gone. Just gone. Tom, I called out, my voice cracking more than I wanted it to. Did you move money from our savings? He walked into the room drying his hands on a towel, acting casual. Too casual. Oh yeah. I told you, didn't I? My friend needed help. She's going through a lot. Not he. I looked at him carefully. Who? He hesitated, a fraction of a second, but long enough for my stomach to twist. Melissa, he said. That was the first time I'd ever heard her name. He said it like she was someone I should already know. Someone harmless. Someone insignificant. She had a crisis, he continued. It's temporary. She'll pay us back. Why would you give a friend $27,000? My voice shook, but I kept it steady enough. Tom, we don't give that kind of money to anybody. He sighed, frustrated. Ev, can we not do this? She needed help. Helped her. End of story. But it wasn't the end. It was the beginning. Still, I didn't push. Not then. I told myself I was overreacting. That after so many years together, he deserved the benefit of the doubt. I didn't know then that the woman he was helping had a nursery stocked with diapers and baby formula paid for by our savings. I didn't know then that he visited her more often than he visited our daughter. I didn't know then that he had a life outside of the one we shared. A life I was never meant to see. It's strange how the universe whispers before it screams. Little things began stacking up, too small to stand alone but too heavy to ignore. He'd come home late, smelling of baby powder. He bought new clothes, claiming he needed work boots, but returning with nothing of the sort. He was constantly helping someone move, fix a fence, repair a door. Always for a friend. Always for her. One night, I found a receipt in his truck. 2 bottles of baby formula. Box of diapers. Stuffed giraffe toy. The name on the receipt. Melissa Price. I remember sitting in the truck seat, holding that little giraffe in my hands, stroking its soft fabric with trembling fingers. Something about the warmth of it, the innocence, made my eyes sting with tears I didn't want to cry. And yet, I still didn't accuse him. Why? Because after 50-something years on this earth, I learned that people don't notice when love leaves. They notice when denial ends. But denial has a funny way of protecting you. Until the day truth shows up on your porch holding a baby with your husband's eyes. Which brings me back to that Tuesday afternoon. Back to Melissa. Back to the baby. Back to Tom's terrified face. Back to the moment everything changed. I should have walked away, but I didn't. I stayed at that cafe longer than I should have, stirring a cup of coffee that had gone cold an hour ago. Outside the large window, couples walked hand in hand, teenagers laughed on scooters, and the world kept spinning, as if my own life wasn't quietly twisting into something unfamiliar. My phone buzzed. Mark. Still out grocery shopping? I stared at the message for a long time. He had never once asked me where I was during the day. Not in 30 years. Suddenly, he cared. Or suddenly, he was checking. I typed back. Yes, almost done. Lie. Small lie. But it landed heavy on my chest. When I finally walked home, the cold November wind bit through my coat. The same coat Mark bought for me 2 Christmases ago. Navy blue, his favorite color, not mine. I wore it anyway. I always wore what made things easy. The house was warm, smelling faintly of lemon cleaner. Mark's routine. He cleaned when he was stressed. He'd never admit that, but I'd lived with the man long enough to understand the language he didn't speak. He was in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, wiping the counters with a force that worried me. Hey, I said gently. He looked up quickly, too quickly. Hey, where were you? You were gone all day. My heart sank a little. We had reached that stage. Suspicion politely wrapped in husband-wife casualness. I had errands, I replied softly, hanging my purse on the hook. He watched me carefully. Too carefully. I walked over, touched his arm. He didn't pull away. But he didn't lean in either. Just stiff, guarded, exhausted. I'm thinking of trying that new quilting class downtown, I said carefully. Something for me. He blinked. Why? Simple word. But it cut. Because I need something of my own, Mark. He stared at me a moment, jaw tightening the way it did when he had something to say but didn't trust himself to speak it. Waited. After a long, strained silence, he finally exhaled. Evelyn, did I do something? Just tell me. You've been different. Different. Because I had discovered messages in the middle of the night. Because his phone now lived in his pocket instead of the counter. Because he deleted the grocery app, the app he had used for years, replacing it with a messaging app one had never seen. But I wasn't ready to confront him. Not until I understood whether I was fighting for this marriage or preparing to let it go. "I'm just tired," I whispered. He nodded slowly, though I could tell he didn't believe me. And something about that made him look guilty. That night he went to bed early. I sat alone in the living room, the glow of the lamp soft and warm on my hands. The quiet of our home felt different. Not comforting. Hollow. And for the first time in 30 years, I wondered if the man I shared a life with still shared one with me.